Furious Driving, proud to be supported by Diamond Bright, protecting, cleaning and caring for the Furious fleet and for yours with 10% off using code FD10. Follow the links in the description below. Hello and welcome to Furious Driving, and today I'm driving something big, slow, ponderous and brilliant. Now, this is a 1993 Volkswagen T4 camper conversion. Rather cool, isn't it? If you like reviews of interesting, unusual, different vehicles, make sure you hit like and of course subscribe. Now, on with the review. Hello and welcome to Furious Driving. Now, what is the most practical, usable, everyday and adventure car in the world? Is it some kind of Land Rover Defender, a G-Wagon, some kind of incredible SUV? No, it's the Volkswagen T4 van. A car or vehicle, commercial, which holds two, not dubious, good records. Firstly, this is the second longest running Volkswagen van in history after the T1. They built it from 1990 to 2003. It's 13 years in its home market, which is pretty incredible. Secondly, it's Volkswagen's first front-engine van. So the T4 can be bought in any number of different configurations, as a panel van, as a combi, as a pickup truck, a short wheelbase, a long wheelbase, a single cab, a double cab, a tilt bed and four-wheel drive. But that's only on 3 different engines, 2 of the diesels and 1 of the petrols. But that uses a viscous coupling, same as on a Freelander, believe it or not, and no one gave them any kind of rubbish about that. People seem very well forgiving about certain things. However, interesting thing with the Synchro, not a problem with this particular one, because it's got a rear diff, there's nowhere for the spare wheel to hang underneath, so you have to put your spare wheel inside the van, or you'll see them, like on an old Defender, on a big cage on the back. Anyway, that versatility makes them so popular and so usable. They can go from 2-seaters up to 9-seaters depending on how it's configured. And also that means they get converted a lot. People love them for surf buses and for camper vans like this one, because you can get an old builder's van that's done 120,000 miles, buy it for cheaps and then turn it into your dream camper wagon. This particular van though started as a caravel, which means it already had windows in the sides, which is a big advantage if you're doing a conversion, because otherwise you've got to get your tin opener or your angle grinder and make messy holes and hopefully rust proof them well enough, and hopefully not rot out your new exciting camper build, which you won't know about because you've put lining inside it and it'll rust out on the inside. Anyway, let's talk about the front end of this thing, because that's quite interesting. This van is a short nose with a short stubby smiley transit style bonnet. That's up until 1996, when the facelift brought in the long nose, extended to allow the VR6 to fit. There were a variety of motor choices. In petrol there were 2 and 2.5 litre 4-cylinders making 83, 108 or 113 horsepower, and of course the 2.8 VR6 in 138 or 201 horsepower flavours. And then there were the diesels in 4-cylinder 1.9 turbo and not turbo flavour, making 60 or 67 horsepower. And of course there was this, the 5-pot, 2.4 litres, making 78 horsepower and 164 newton metres of torque. So it's a 5-cylinder, like an Alpha. Fun. Later there were the new 4-cylinder direct injection 2.5 TDIs, making up to 149 horsepower. These are probably the ones to go for. But now a very brief interlude. Bear with. So, as we've been through spooky season, fireworks time's nearly over and we're heading towards Christmas, I was thinking maybe it's time we reimagined the holiday season. If there's such a thing as Coincidence Day. If there was, it would be today, because that's how coincidence works, right? So why am I thinking about that? Well, I have never worn a ring in my life, but the other day I was curious about that. So I was Googling and I found gentle bands online with their range of reimagined rings made with fascinating and beautiful materials. And moments later, completely by coincidence, and this is actually true, my email pinged and Gentle Bands had got in touch wanting to do a giveaway for you, my viewers. Talk about coincidence, that deserves a holiday. So Gentle Bands rings are something a bit different, with their themed ranges and materials you won't find everywhere else. Tungsten wood? No problem. But how about Damascus steel with its intricate folded patterns, or whiskey barrel with all the heritage that comes from that ancient art, or even meteorite or dinosaur fossil, having travelled light years through the cosmos or through eons and eons of time to be transformed into beautiful decoration inside these rings. And while I was looking at these, Furious Jr. looked over my shoulder, and he's never wanted a ring either, but he loved the glowstone and begged me to get him the Gunshot, a mix of tungsten and meteorite with a luminous blue glow. And I love the look of the Jurassic, a tungsten ring which is perfect for my interest in history and love of space exploration, as it holds dinosaur bone and meteorite. And of course you, I guess, know that link. And being subtle colours, it's beautiful and eye-catching, but not too ostentatious. And I'm not keeping this to myself. To celebrate the channel's 100,000 subscriber mark, 2 of you can win a Gentleman's ring of your choice. Just comment Reimagine Ring in the comments below this video and drop your details to shop@furiousdriving.co.uk with your YouTube username to enter the draw. To see the range, click the link in the description and that will also give you a massive 25% discount. Right, now back to the video. Stepping up inside the T4, and you do step up into it because being a commercial, it's quite tall. Now these seats are mounted on rotatable bases, so you could cantiners chair them around back to front to face into the rear cabin. However, there's stuff behind them so you can't. They to me look a lot like Golf or TT seats perhaps. They're really nicely reupholstered in this two-tone black and blue with the diamond stitching. Looks really cool, and the VW logo in there as well. Looks really, really nice. I think those are Golf seats because they're quite long, longer than van seats might be. But you do though, step up on the inner step, climb up and in, and there you are. The door has been quite interestingly decorated by the previous people who converted this van. We do have an aluminium window winder. This is going to be replaced very shortly indeed. We've got some contrast added by the people who had it before, and this really, really cool 90s inspired artwork. There's a particular artist who drew loads of this kind of stuff, and I cannot think what his name was. I think he was Italian and he did loads of it. I think it might be Heller. So Andre Heller, does that ring a bell with anyone? Come back to me with that. I might be the wrong artist. Anyway, moving into the dashboard area itself. This will be familiar to anyone who's had a Mark 1 or 2 Golf or Polo, any Volkswagen basically in the 80s or the early 90s. If you've come from a more modern vehicle like a T5 a van, for example, it'll look absolutely archaic, but coming from anything previous generation, and wow, what a step up. There is a lot of dead real estate though. You'll notice there's a lot of black empty plastic areas that don't really do anything, but there's also a lot of big buttons which look like oversized versions of Golf and Polo controls with the diagonal stripes and the little lights in the switches. Most importantly though, we have got incredible T-shelf area. If you need to keep your cactuses and ducks in a row, then this will be the van for you, because this is not Volkswagen factory obviously, but we do have cup holders, we have cactus area, we've got stowage spaces, we've also got a name for the van, Brody, we don't know why, and more interesting illustration. We don't know why, but we like it. Moving back over here, we've got exemplary T-shelf areas, so lots of room to put your cups, your mugs, your snacks and whatever else on there when you're on the road. This is all good, lots of flat space for stuff. We do have an aftermarket CarPlay hoo-ha dilly going on up here, which does make the thing leap into the 21st century. We've also got a space for a regular size radio. Really nice, easy, basic but usable controls. No air conditioning on this generation. You need to go a couple of years newer to get AC on one of these. But yeah, the simplest and most weirdly laid out controls you ever did see. Now, dashboard itself, it's simplicity itself. We've got 3 dials. We've got temperature, fuel, speed, optimistically running up to 120 miles an hour. They've upgraded us from a rev counter to a clock, because who wants to know how fast the engine is spinning when you need to know it's tea time or time for 10 to the top on radio 2. Interestingly, and this does make me smile quite a lot, down the bottom here you'll notice we've got LEDs, like on a Mark 1 Golf or Mark 1 or 2 Polo. Little red LEDs telling us we've got warning lights happening. That is so cool, and this is such a Volkswagen-y control on the hazard warning lights as well. Stepping back, incredibly Volkswagen switchgear for the indicators and wipers. Looks like stuff you find in the Polos, but on a bigger scale. Likewise the steering wheel. Let's zoom out a bit, it's huge. It does of course have a screw in the centre, because it does. I don't think there's an airbag on this one, so it's not going to fire that through your face in a crash. I think it's just a reminder that it was once a commercial vehicle or something. We think possibly it's because the centre pad has been taken out and the horn has been replaced, because the horn now lives over here. Horn test. Wow, this is a van that identifies as a train parp. Wow, that's impressive. I'm coming through in a while. So I guess it needs to be loud because it's slow. So when you see a thing coming up at you up ahead, you need to be able to warn them and give yourself plenty of time to arrive, or I don't know. That doesn't really work. But never mind. Anyway, this is the interior. We've got, wow, look, check out that ceiling. That's impressive. Because it's the commercial, or the Caravelle, it's a 2-seater, not a 3-seater bench. We've got the 5-speed manual down here. Stepping through gingerly, we can go straight into the camping area. Mind your head on the Dreamcatcher. And the thing with one of these vans is you can make it whatever you want. You can lay it out any way you like. So this one has got a whole bunch of stuff. We've got nice little LED lighting around the top. We've got proper LED lighting in this sauna style ceiling that's been installed. We've got wood lining around the edge. We've got lots more illustration to make it sort of fun and homely and interesting. This cupboard here contains a leisure battery and an inverter, so keeps it all topped up so we can run our lights and so forth. This is a sofa and it's a bed, because underneath here there is a slide out panel which rolls straight out, and that becomes the base of a bed. I'll show you that in a second. We've got light switches, we've got storage which stops itself from falling open on the road. We've got ourselves a sink with fresh water and wastewater. We really are fully sorted for like a weekend away, just enjoying literally anywhere you want to go. Let's pull out the bed and show you. Thing to note about the rear of these vans is that you could have two different options on the doors. You could have two barn doors open from the sides, or like this, you can have the tailgate option, which is great for giving quick and easy access and instant cover. So you want to have a bit of escape from the elements, looking at your interesting South Asian inspired artwork. You can keep out the wet elements in here, but here we've got a double bed now, so you can leap straight in there and have yourself a super comfy nap, which does look very inviting indeed, actually. I'm guessing the people who designed and built this van or converted this van were old hippies. I've just been told they're not. They're about 20 something. This is so cool. So comfy, so spacious. The only thing we've not got in here is a cooker. But the thing is, if you put a cooker in here, then you have to run gas through the van and you get cooking smells in the van. So you've got to make your choice on these things. So, I said at the beginning, this is their first front engine van. Some people think it's the first water-cooled van as well, but no, that was the T3 back in 1982, and they had actually been thinking of going front engine in that, but they weren't quite ready to make the jump and the extreme commitment to front-wheel drive and front engine. But by doing this, ultimately, they really transformed the vehicle lineup and made it so much more adaptable and commodious. And of course, it's now at standard a front-wheel drive. You could, of course, have the all-wheel drive synchro, but most of them were front-wheel drive. Anyway, driving this thing, well, you can really tell it was a commercial vehicle in its roots, because the driving position is very tall, very upright. We've got this much more comfortable camper seats in it now. But I'm sitting like I'm in a school chair, so my legs are straight forward and straight down. The pedals feel like they're popping straight out the floor of the car. The steering wheel, nowhere near as bad as the old T1s and 2s where you're sitting hunched over on a bus steering wheel getting arthritis and osteoporosis and a broken back trying to keep the thing in a straight line. This is actually quite a comfortable driving position. Big steering wheel though. What we are lacking though is power, because there isn't any. But it's an engine that drives on torque rather than power. 0 to 60 is about 16 seconds, top speed is about 89, 90 miles an hour. MPG is pretty good though, that's low 30s, so if you're going a long distance, just don't be in a hurry. The gear change is manual 5-speed. Isn't bad, it's got synchro, it's a little bit of a slow synchro, but it does the job. But it's positioned quite a long way back, so it's almost reaching around in the wrong kind of places to try and find the gear shift, which is a very long stalk coming right out the floor for you. And many turns lock to lock. You do change up through the gears quite early through your speed. Hang on, there we go. 30 miles an hour, changing up into 4th. The handbrake, I'm not going to put it on now, but I have to reach all the way down here to get it. Now, visibility of this thing is pretty good. Out the front, huge windscreen, big side windows, enormous mirrors. But thankfully, because it was like a Caravelle to start with, it had windows, so we have got fairly decent rearward visibility, which on a panel van can be a bit of a trek. So if you are thinking of doing a panel conversion, do consider putting some side windows in there so you can at least get out of junctions. And because it's a long wheelbase, the ride is actually quite good as well. The weight of all the conversion stuff, all that timber in the back, means it doesn't jitter and bounce across the floor. And normally on this road I have to keep an eye on the speed so I'm not breaking the limit as I hoon around that corner. In this one, we're not even close, that was 35 miles an hour. It's impressively slow, but this engine will last literally forever. Well, the owner's sat here with me and he uses it pretty much all the time. Every other weekend pretty much, you'll bimble off somewhere, have a weekend off-grid, and you're self-contained. This is a bit like the roof tent we have on the Freelander, in that you can just drive off in something that's not too big, park up, and you're camped. The advantage of this over the roof tent, though, is that you've not got to put anything up. You just literally climb out your driving seat, head into the back and put the kettle on, which is super convenient. It does, of course, have the same disadvantage as the roof tent, in that if you then want to go into town for any reason or leave the campsite with a vehicle, you've got to pack your campsite away, which, yeah, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. If you're going fully off-grid, that's not really a problem. If you're going to go visit someplace and then try and visit the tourist sites, maybe not so great. Now, the ultimate challenge for a 2.4 T4, a dual carriageway.
What are you going to say, McDonald's drive-through?
Well, it's awkward as well, but not as bad as the Crown Vic. No, this is its nemesis. 60 mile an hour road, or even 50 mile an hour road. It's smooth, but we're going to cruise at 40. In that respect, it really does live up to the spirit of the classic Volkswagen. So the T4 really is the ultimate chameleon. It's so adaptable, it can be anything you want it to be. Now this is an interesting thing. Prices of T4s have actually started going up again. Because they're so simple to work on, you can maintain it literally with a hammer and a screwdriver. They're kind of getting more expensive than, in theory, better later T5s, because T5s just take so much more maintenance, they're more complicated. So you might buy a very cheap T5, but then you'll spend an absolute fortune keeping the thing on the road, whereas the T4, you spend a little bit more in the first place, and it'll keep soldering on and on and on. Just keep an eye on that rust and you'll be fine. And it can be anything: a people carrier, a workhorse, a surf bus, or a camper, a day van, you name it, it'll be it. It is just everything you want. Okay, it's not fast. We know it's only got 78 horsepower and 0 to 60 of 16 seconds and a top speed of 85, so cruising realistically is 50 to 60, let's be honest. You can push them harder, but they don't like it. But if you've got time, if you're on holiday, what's the rush? Slow down, enjoy the view, take in the sights, and enjoy your T4. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this ride out in this brilliant multi-purpose camper van. Go anywhere, go to the tip, go to a campsite, adventure into the anywhere you want to go, Volkswagen. If you've enjoyed this, please, as always, hit like and subscribe, and join us again next time driving something completely different.